On today's show, 2025 first overall pick has signed his entry-level contract. Will Matthew Schaefer start the season in the National Hockey League? Plus, some other young talent, RFAs, and still unsigned. Is it cause for concern yet? All that and more on today's Locked On NHL.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome inside this Wednesday, August 6th edition of the Locked On NHL podcast. I'm Ross Levitan. You can find me 5 days a week over at Locked On Ottawa Senators. And as always, it's a Battle of Ontario edition. I'm joined from Locked On Maple Leafs, Mike DiStefano. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just head to FanDuel to get started. Mikey, we haven't seen any offer sheets so far this summer, but there are still lots of key restricted free agents who have no contract. Are you surprised by not only the number, but the quality of some of these players?
Yeah, I'm surprised by all of it. There's some really, really solid players who have yet to sign their deal to stick around in with their clubs. Like Marco Rossi is a player up at the top of the list who has been involved in a lot of trade rumors, and I guess that's why he's unwilling to negotiate and unwilling to sign a deal there in Minnesota. So that's one player that I guess would be very concerning. Mason McTavish is another one that's kind of interesting to me, who hasn't signed yet. It's obviously very talented young player. In Anaheim. I know that that's a team that's kind of added a lot of talent down the middle, but that's still someone you want to get signed and have moving forward in your future. He's the one guy I would say on this list who I would consider an offer sheet for. Like, honestly, I'm seriously surprised that nobody has tried to offer sheet a guy like Mason McTavish to this point. Because last summer, we saw two offer sheets come through, right? The Blues signed both Broberg and Dylan Holloway. And we all thought, okay, the floodgates are open. We haven't seen anything. Nothing has come through this summer. There was some talk that maybe Bouchard was going to get offer sheeted, and that's why Edmonton signed him to his deal. But nothing, not even a sniff of an offer sheet yet this summer. It's kind of disappointing, to be honest with you. I wanted to see that kind of chaos.
Yeah, so would I. And I feel like if you're betting on Mason McTavish, this upcoming year could be the one where it pays off. Like, he finally cracked 50 points for the first time in his young career at 22 years old. He's starting to get that responsibility down of being more of a two-way player. He came in, and even as a rookie, obviously got the 9-game tryout as a 19-year-old, but in his first full season at 43 points, was still trying to find his way. Second season full, had a little bit too much penalty trouble. You probably want him down below 50. He gets to that this year. He was up at 86 the past season. His faceoffs are over 50%. Like, to me, it just works out to be a guy who's going to put up 60 to 80 points next year if he's put in the right situation, put on the power play. He's got a great shot, great nose for the net, hard worker, third overall pick. He's got the pedigree. Like, I'd be just shocked to know why Pat Verbeek and the Anaheim Ducks, with all the cap space they have left, haven't allocated some of that to Mason McTavish, because a 1-2 punch down the middle of Leo Carlsson and Mason McTavish, to me, seems like a pretty great start to move on from the Trevor Zegras era.
You would think, when you move on from Zegras, it's because you've decided that you're moving forward with these guys as kind of your 1-2 punch down the middle, as you mentioned. So, yeah, it is kind of puzzling that they have not gotten any done with him. You noted they got over $20 million in cap space.
Crazy.
Like, what are we doing here? Like, who else are you going to give it to? They literally don't have anyone else that they have to get signed. So, like, you just give him a contract of some kind. Like, let's just get this guy locked up long term. And even when you look at who they have long term, there's not really anyone. I mean, when you look at who they have signed, it's They signed Granlund to a 3-year deal this past season. They got Troy Terry locked up long term. He's got 5 more years left on his contract. But outside of that, like, nobody is signed long term. Vetrano has 3 years left on his deal. No one else has a contract that extends after next season. So you can easily make Mason McTavish a part of the future moving forward. I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet, and vice versa. Again, surprised that no other team has put pressure on them to make that happen. That is, given him an offer sheet of some kind. Like, I don't know, what do you think McTavish is worth? Like, what does that deal get signed at? If you're, a GM around the NHL, like, what type of contract would you be looking to send him in terms of an offer sheet?
I wouldn't hesitate to give him 7 by 7.5.
Okay, 7 by 7.5. Yeah, I could see that being the right number for a guy like that. A lot of teams are betting big.
Exactly, and I think that it would look like, oh wow, he probably didn't play up to that in the first year, but I think throughout the course of that contract, he'll play up to that, especially with the cap going up. Yeah, I'd have no hesitation with that. Once we get into the 8s, I'd probably want to see a little bit more output already. And maybe I would hesitate, but I think he could easily be an $8 million plus player in the new cap era.
I would even maybe try and sign him to like a 2-year deal, perhaps at like 7 flat, just so that when you look at if you're talking about using the offer sheet method, by staying under 7.02, you don't have to include a an additional second round pick. So at 7.5, you have to give a first, a second, and a third. At 7.01, we'll say, you only have to give up a first and a third, which I think is more palatable, I suppose, than giving up an additional second round pick in the draft. And there's a number of teams that, are eligible to do that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 19 teams have their first and third round pick for next season. So 19 teams eligible to make an offer sheet like that happen. I'm kind of surprised that no team has been willing to kind of dip their toes into that water.
Yeah, and another comparable could be Quentin Byfield just signed a 5-year extension with LA, $6.25 million. But he's also insulated there with Kopitar and Philip Danault still being like top tier 2-way centerman in the league, whereas McTavish has the point where it's like, hey, like, are you going to play Ryan Strome ahead of me for 82 games? I don't think so, pal. Like, I mean, they've spent all their money that they have used on wingers, like Mikael Granlund coming in, winger. Last offseason, Alex Killorn, winger coming in. Chris Kreider, trade, winger. Like, these guys are dying to have centermen take the reins, and I think having Leo Carlsson, Mason McTavish would be a great 1-2 punch. If I'm another team snooping around, I'd even say, what do you want in a trade here? Like, rather than go offer sheet, like, can we make it a similar trade to like how they got Cutter Gauthier? We'll give you a young player at a different position, but to me, like, the position that Anaheim should be targeting is center, and you've already got one right there. It doesn't seem like he's asking for out. He just wants a fair deal long term. So yeah, Mason McTavish to me is the most curious free agent based on his situation. I also think he's the best player who is still unsigned. There's still some other good players. Connor Zary, great rookie, great youth development for him in Calgary.
Yeah,
I know he suffered a tough injury last season, right, where he missed some games, or was that 2 years ago? I'm losing track on Connor Zary here.
Yeah, he's missed some very important development time throughout his career. Whether it was last year or the year before.
It was, yeah. He played 54 games this past season, had 27 points. But the year before, man, he looked like he was going well in the right direction as a rookie in the league. 34 points plus 12.
Yeah. I mean, I still like Zary. I think that he's a good, talented kind of young player. So I'm hoping that that deal gets solidified at some point. Luke Hughes is an interesting one too, though. Luke Hughes needs a contract also out in New Jersey, and I'd imagine that'll get dealt with.
Unlike the other situations where there's millions upon millions of cap space, Devils only have 6.1.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. Like they don't have a whole lot of money, and maybe they're looking for the trade market to develop so they can try and move out a body to try and make some space there for Luke Hughes. Like, could that possibly be part of the equation? Maybe. or maybe they just shouldn't have given Cody Glass $2.5 million, who hasn't, become a regular in an NHL lineup, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think that's definitely something that could happen pretty soon. I'd imagine that they want to get Luke Hughes locked up and try and keep those Hughes brothers together. That's the best way to land a Quinn Hughes. I can tell you that. You keep those guys together in a couple of years. When Quinn's a UFA, he'll be far more inclined to join his brothers out in New Jersey. I do have a perfect situation, a perfect team that I think should make a push at an offer sheet at Mason McTavish, though. But I'll tell you after the break.
Great tease. You're listening to Locked On NHL, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, our home here at the Locked On Podcast Network. When we need to get in on the action over at FanDuel, the #1 sports book in America for great reasons. It's the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling with FanDuel? You can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. Mike, I know there was one prop that caught your attention over at FanDuel.
Oh, yes. There's a hilarious novelty prop for who starts game one for the Edmonton Oilers. Stu Skinner, leader in the clubhouse. He is the favorite. Next up, the field. No love for Calvin Pickard. No love. He came in at third at plus 500.
Oh, my goodness. That's tough. I think it's going to be Stuart Skinner, though. So put my money there on the favorite in goal. But whether I'm placing money on futures, novelty bets, or same-game parlays, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Welcome back to Locked On NHL, your team every day. We're part of Locked On Podcast Network, local experts on the biggest stories 5 days a week. Make sure to like and subscribe everywhere you get podcasts, including on YouTube. And Mikey, don't tell me it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, the best landing spot for Mason McTavish.
No, it is not. It is not the Toronto Maple Leafs. It would be a good spot, though. Like, they do need, a young center to come up, although I don't believe they have the assets to make it happen anyway. No, it's the Boston Bruins, though. The arch rival of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And, doesn't McTavish play like a Bruin-esque game?
Yeah.
Like just a big, strong power forward, can play down the middle. They're kind of looking for that guy. And they've tried to turn Pavel Zacha into that guy. Hasn't necessarily worked out the way that they thought it would. So I think, roll the dice on a Mason McTavish. They do have a first and third round pick, so they can try and make that happen. Now, cap-wise, they're stuck a little bit. They've had a very weird offseason. The amount of money that they're throwing out to, just veteran after veteran really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like extending Middlestat to 5.75 was a curious deal. Or actually, they traded for him last year at the deadline. That's right. But that was a curious situation there. Bringing in Victor Arvidsson. They signed Tanner Jeannot to $3.4 million. Yoki Haru on a 3-year deal. I mean, it's just there's a lot of interesting maneuvers that they've made throughout the offseason. It's kind of like they had money for the first time in a while. They're just throwing it away to anyone who would take it, essentially. So money-wise, they're going to have to obviously clean that up in order to make that fit, make that work, because I think they only have 2 and change in cap space, but he'd be a good fit, at least as a potential number 1 center in the making for the Boston Bruins. And I feel like McTavish, the way he plays, would be a very welcomed addition in the Bruins organization.
Yeah, I hate it, but only because I cheer for a rival team. I agree that it would be huge for Boston to get that. But what would they have to give up? Do they?
I'm saying offer sheet. I'm talking offer sheet here, bud.
You think they're going to give up their 2026 first-round pick? That would be spicy.
I mean, guy, look at what they did. Look at what they did this offseason. You're telling me that they're tanking this year? They went and they added Tanner Jeannot. They went and they added Victor Arvidsson. They signed Morgan Geekie to a long-term extension. They added Yoki Haru. This team is not tanking. They're not don't plan on taking a step back. I think they're falsely believe that they can compete because I don't see this team being all that competitive. But I think they believe that they're competitive and want to make a run at the playoffs. And you have a much better shot at doing that with Mason McTavish on your team than not.
That would be the spiciest offer sheet of all time. Like to give up. Well, wait, was it an offer sheet for Phil Kessel? No, it wasn't. They just traded 2 first-round picks.
No.
Eh?
But the Shea Weber offer sheet was quite spicy.
Yeah, it was. But did they get a top 5 pick out of that?
Well, Nashville matched it, so they didn't.
Oh, right. That was Philly that gave them an enormous bag. Enormous bag.
Yeah.
I don't.
Miami was spicy because that was in retaliation to Sebastian Aho.
Yeah, that was just
that one was spicy.
But I don't think we've ever seen an offer sheet where it's a first-round pick going the other way, and that first-round pick ends up being a lottery pick. Have we? Obviously, there's been trades where that happens.
Typically, yeah. Typically, it's kind of been that way. I'm trying to think. I believe so. We barely see any offer sheets. That's the problem. And rarely do we see offer sheets for stars where first-round picks are on the table. Like even Holloway and Broberg last year was a second and a third for those guys. We just rarely see it. Like so, it's a little unprecedented, of course, but McTavish, if you believe in his talents and you think that he could be, a 60 to 80 point, centerman who can play 200 feet, who could be a leader in the locker room, like, yeah, I think that'd be well worth giving up a first round pick for.
Yeah, I'm looking at ones that weren't matched, and the only one that really jumps out in terms of guys that we haven't touched on there recently, like Dustin Penner after winning the Cup.
Yeah.
With Anaheim.
Right.
Went to Edmonton, and that's where the infamous feud started between Brian Burke and Kevin Lowe, where they were looking for a barn to go rent out.
Oh, yeah.
So funny. But, yeah, they always just get matched, too. But I bet you if it crossed Anaheim's desk that a first-round pick of the Boston Bruins could come to them, they would have to think long and hard about that. Because if you're putting yourself into a place where you could be in the Gavin McKenna sweepstakes twice. Now, I'm actually the mind that Anaheim takes a step this year if Mason McTavish is there. We talked about this a lot.
I agree.
Breakout candidates last year. But, like, if they could somehow, like, take a step, even make playoffs, but then also be in the McKenna running where Keaton Verhoff could be there too. Like, there's some great talent in the 2026 draft beyond just Gavin McKenna. Like, it's definitely better than the last couple of drafts, and that's saying something, especially 2024 draft seems like it's turning in to be a pretty good run. But yeah, if I'm Boston, I agree with you that they'd be a great fit, but I'd be wondering what else I could do other than that 2026 first round pick. I think even a 2027 first round pick, you'd prefer to give that up rather than what's right in front of you with what could be, I don't know if generational is the right word. We'll have to see how Gavin McKenna looks at Penn State, a very different circumstance.
We were too quick to use that term with another guy.
Oh, yeah.
Connor Bedard was very much called a generational talent. And through 2 years, I haven't seen it yet. I can tell you
actually had a great conversation off camera with Angus Crookshank, who's now at the New Jersey Devils. And I asked him point blank, and I don't think he'd mind me sharing this because he didn't really give me a good answer, but he trains in Vancouver with both Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard. And I said, if you're GM of a team, who are you picking first? And he was struggling to answer. It basically came down, he said, to like, if you want a surety, like he's like every single practice, every single scrimmage, like Celebrini is so consistent already, but he's like, the second I would pick him, he's like, Bedsy can go off for 50 goals at any season. He's like, we're just waiting for that pop. But it's a fun debate, especially that the two both train together in Van.
Man, hey, I predicted on last week's show 2 weeks ago. We did our breakout candidates. I predicted, man, Bedard 40-goal season. It's coming. It's coming.
That
this year.
Team stinks.
I know, but he is going to show up. He is the one who's going to go coast to coast and score a bunch of goals like Ovi did for years in that terrible Washington Capitals organization through his first 3-4 seasons while he was there before they got going. So I think it's time for Bedsy to kind of wake up and shake off that moniker that he is not a generational talent. Maybe he proves to us this year that we're a little too quick to too quick to pull that away from him.
Well, I'm going to go out and say it, and I don't think this is speaking out of turn here. I'm disappointed with the Chicago Blackhawks that they didn't try to do more now to get better. Like, they've been in that perpetual rebuild, I think, long enough where it's a huge disappointment that they didn't get any player that was like, oh man, like, how's he going to fit with Bedard? You're not saying that about Andre Burakovsky or Tyler Bertuzzi. Teuvo Teravainen's a fine piece, but
but they had him last year. Like those are guys they had last year.
Burakovsky they just traded for.
Burakovsky is someone who they brought in, but that was their only signing that they made in free agency. That's it. They brought in Burakovsky.
Well, it was a trade too. They traded a bad contract to get him. It was Joe Galeno.
Nothing in free agency, I guess. That's literally all that they were able to do. It's all that they did was bring in Burakovsky, and now they're like, okay, we're ready to go.
Crazy.
Let's get this season underway. Crazy. And I'm not sure why they think that it's gonna be a much rosier season. Maybe they're in the tanking for Gavin McKenna business too, though. That's
they better hope and
probability.
They have signed Anton Frondel to his rookie contract, 3rd overall pick. Like, is he going to make a difference right away? Probably not. But if you were watching,
right away? I don't know.
If you were watching last season, man, Bedard's getting pretty bad. Just saying.
Yeah, he's a fiery guy regardless. He's definitely a fiery guy. But like right now, I'm taking a look at Puckpedia and the projected opening night roster. They've got Bedard playing with Ryan Donato and Andre Burakovsky.
Come on.
That's who they got him slotted next to. And they've got Frank Nazar playing with Teravainen and Bertuzzi. I like the situation for Nazar better than I do Bedard, to be honest.
Frankie Nazar's a great player, too. He's actually one of those pieces that I think could pop. He's a stud.
Yeah. He's one of those guys that could be part of the all breakout team in 2025-26 for sure.
Well, we didn't talk much about rookies in the breakout because what are they breaking out from? But the 1st overall pick is signed Matthew Schaefer. What could his immediate impact be? Number 48 he's rocking on Long Island. Who's he going to be paired with? How's he going to get opportunity under Patrick Waugh as a young defenseman? All those questions answered on the other side. You're listening to Locked On NHL, your team every day. Welcome back, Locked On NHL, your team every day. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, everywhere you get your podcasts. We are free and available on YouTube. We have local experts on all the biggest stories 5 days a week. Matthew Schaefer signs his entry-level contract. Well, officially, not until September when he turns 18. He was one of the youngest players in this draft and still went 1st overall. He's still just 17 years old, and he is the easiest player to root for. I think fans across the National Hockey League fell in love with this kid throughout the draft process. Not only is he an incredible player, but gone through so much, both on and off the ice. You think it just the World Juniors, finally gets an opportunity at home, has a great first game, and then breaks his collarbone, missed the rest of the year. Off the ice, of course, much more important. Loses a parent at a young age. His mother lost his billet mother as well under tragic circumstances. Like, this guy's had to go through so much. He has gone through it as a role model to everyone else. And I don't know if you saw that they had a number of kids who've gone through similar situations of losing a parent at a young age help present him his first NHL contract. I think the Islanders, and I don't know if this is a part of like their new management team and kind of the changing of the guard there with Mathieu Darche coming in and bringing in Ryan Bonus, but they have hit every aspect of the Matthew Schaefer from the draft and everything they did for him there to this. They've just hit it right out of the park.
Yeah, they really have, honestly. So kudos to them. And I think he's going to be a great great player. Like Matthew Schaefer, he's from my neck of the woods down in the Niagara area. And I know that he's been a player that, in Niagara was always talked about as being a young up and coming, stud, potential NHLer. And then, one of my good friends actually coaches the Erie Otters. And, I asked him, what's so special about this kid the night of the draft? And, he just had nothing but great things to say about him. Like, he's literally talking about he's got world-class skating. He thinks the game at an unbelievably high level. And we witnessed that in the World Junior Championships. As a 17-year-old, he was the best blue liner on Canada last winter. And when he got injured, dude, like, what happened? That team went down the toilet. And they didn't even medal last
Fifth
winter.
place back-to-back years. Pathetic.
And they look great when he was in the lineup. All of a sudden, they lose Matthew Schaefer, and now that team was a shell of themselves. And he can move the puck, he can defend, he thinks the game at an elite level, he can skate like the wind. He's gonna be a great player for them for a very long time. And they obviously decided to move off of Noah Dobson this offseason because they had an elite defenseman incoming in Matthew Schaefer. So getting him signed to his ELC, he'll be able to start the year with the Islanders and kind of get the ball rolling. I think he's going to be a terrific player.
I'm so interested to see how Patrick Waugh handles the situation. Obviously, he's very detail oriented.
Like, I don't like he coached in the queue for years. Like, I think he's very well versed with like young players and development more so than maybe people think.
So maybe it was more of an organizational thing, but I feel like the Islanders for the last 5-10 years have always favored veteran players.
Well, that's probably the Lou Lamoriello effect, though, more so than Patrick Waugh, I would think.
Yeah, I hope that they let him run. I hope they let the reins off and just say, hey, go play your thing. And look, like, they've had one of the longest consistent pairs in the league with Adam Pelech and Ryan Pulock have been attached at the hip for a number of years. So you doubt they're going to break those two up. And then you've got kind of an interesting situation because I don't think it's really fair to Matthew Schaefer to have him with Tony DeAngelo to start because DeAngelo's a bit more of a riverboat gambler and he's going to take jumps.
I put him with Mayfield. I put him with Scott Mayfield.
But who's the quote-unquote third pair there? Because I don't think that Matthew Schaefer should be on technically third pair. He needs his minutes.
I think he can definitely start out on the third pair to start, and then if he earns more minutes, he gets more minutes. That's the way that's going to go.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
still super young, man. Like, I don't
17.
want to anoint him top pair minutes, get him out there playing 24 minutes a night. Like, let's settle down a little bit here. He's not killing McCarr quite yet, but
I saw some great lines too, just saying that like the Islanders have the least amount of competition of any team in the NHL in terms of like camp.
Yeah,
the 18 skaters and 2 goalies are who they're going to be. Probably. There's going to be no competition at camp other than who's going to play where potentially, like up front, on the back end, all of it.
Yeah, who else do they even have? Like, I don't think there's another defenseman. Like, who do they even have? Taking a look at
that could be the guy. Well, they just signed Sean Day to a 2-way contract, who is one of the only players to get exceptional status in the CHL.
Maybe Ethan Bear. Like, Ethan Bear could compete for a spot. Isaiah George, they drafted a couple years ago. He could.
Adam Bachquist is an
Galio
option.
Delius, maybe, possibly. Yeah, Bachquist.
He's a right shot though. So still,
I'm just saying when we're talking, just like
to me, Bachquist is the 7th defenseman there.
Guys who are going to play, the 18 forward, 6 defensemen. Like, I'm just thinking like guys who could compete elsewhere. I do like Callum Ritchie.
Cal Ritchie and Victor Eklund would be the 2 interesting ones, but I think Eklund's going back to Sweden and playing with Djurgården, and obviously things can change.
Which is probably the correct move for him. But I think Ritchie, what he was able to do last year in the minors or in junior rather,
I
think he's ready to go. He played 7 games with the Avalanche last year, so he got a little look. He got that taste of NHL action. I think, Cal Ritchie, I think will probably burst onto the scene this year too.
Sneaky player that could be a breakout candidate, Emil Heineman, in that Noah Dobson trade. Every time the Habs played Ottawa, I'd always be like, this guy's got a sick shot. I feel like he scored a lot against Ottawa, but he's a sick shooter.
He
played 62 games, had 10 goals, 18
Yeah, he didn't play
year.
a whole lot. Did he split? No. Huh.
Look at what were his AHL numbers. I feel like this guy, he's one of
29 points. Not really. 29 points in 48 games.
Okay, interesting. Where did he play? Did he play in Finland or Sweden?
He was Swedish.
He was never as much of a goal scorer.
Yeah, he's not really a point producer. Yeah,
dude,
funny enough.
He looks sneaky sick when I watch him play. Like sick shot on him.
Like a little Arturi Lehkonen 2.0.
A little bit, yeah. I actually don't hate that comparable. Yeah, I took I'm going way back here, but he had 26 goals in 29 games playing junior in Sweden. But that's years ago, and obviously he's going to have to do that at the NHL level. But I mean, the Islanders are clearly high on him because apparently they had a great deal on the table from the Columbus Blue Jackets for Noah Dobson, and part of it was the contract and getting it done with Dobson. But the other part of it was the Islanders said, we are really wanting Emil Heineman with those 2 first-round picks. So that's just a player I'm so curious to see the Islanders, man. Like, is it a hot – this might be spicy take, but we're towards the end of the show. Let's go with it. I think the Islanders finish higher than the Rangers next season.
No, you're crazy. You've gone full 180 heel turn on your Rangers.
I have.
Where you think the Islanders are set up better. That's crazy. That's a crazy take.
All right,
Aussie boy.
All right,
I'll take the Rangers. I'll take the Rangers. I'll ride with our boys. You take the Islanders. We'll put a little beer on that one.
Okay. And I saved it till the end of the show. I didn't lead with it.
Fair enough. I don't think we really have time.
I don't like
Kachuk's on the cover of NHL 26. Congratulations.
I got carried away, buddy. I didn't look at their forwards deep enough. They still need some work to do.
Yeah, they do. Anyways,
I said it. Yeah.
Anyway,
Matthew Kachuk's on the cover of NHL EA Sports.
Yeah, the best Kachuk brothers on the cover of NHL EA. All right, let's. The best Kachuk brother, absolutely on the cover. Yeah, best Kachuk brother. Yeah,
for now.
Yeah, best of all time.
Of all time. He's 2 years older. Oh, look who's on the cover of the deluxe edition of NHL 26. As of right now, it's Matthew Brady and Keith Kachuk.
See, that makes. I was actually going to say, I'm surprised they didn't do like a little sibling, like get them both on the cover as a little sibling situation.
And if you're watching on YouTube, we'll pull it up as a nice way to close out today's show. I like the cover. Very good. Only one of them wearing the C.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Well,
although Keith did wear the C in Winnipeg.
So. Yeah. One of them wears a C. One of them wears a ring. I don't know what you prefer. I'd probably rather a ring. But anyway.
Yeah. I'm sure Keith is doing just fine being the cool dad that gets to drink out of the cup every year.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right. Great show today. And yeah, the Rangers probably finished higher than the Islanders. I got excited. I'm a big Matthew Schaefer guy. And that's where I will
bet off. Is the bet off or are you still?
No. I man of my word. Even though my words are sometimes very dumb.
Yeah.
I'll say Islanders finish higher than the Rangers. You know what? No. I was going to say the Devils finish last of those 3 teams.
No.
Absolutely Markstrom's getting older, though.
No. Let's sign up before you say something.
We're in hot take territory.
Next week.
I give you all 16 playoff teams.
You want to do that? You want to predict the playoffs?
Yeah, I'm down.
All right, next week we're predicting the playoffs. 3.
Just like in NHL 26, we'll do our simulation here on Locked On NHL.
Sounds good.
All right, that's Mike DiStefano. You can find him on Locked On Maple Leafs. I'm Ross Levitan. Find me over at Locked On Ottawa Senators. This has been another edition of the Locked On NHL podcast, your team every day.